والله يدعو إلى دار السلام ويهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praise for Allah, Lord of the worlds, and peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad, his companions, and all those who strive to follow in their footsteps. Welcome, my dear viewers, brothers and sisters, to another episode of Qur'an and Science brought to you from Huda TV. My name is Sharif Tuni, and in this episode we'll be discussing, bringing to you more about the fertilizing winds and how it helps in producing rain and also in the pollination of flowers and plants. And for this discussion we have with us Professor of Geology Zaghlol El-Naggar with us in the show. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show. I'd also like to introduce my dear brothers and guests in this episode for questions and interaction with Dr. Zaghlol. We have with us Abdurrahman Ismail and Zabihullah Karim.
Thank you.
Before we move to discussion about this topic of the fertilizing winds and how it causes rain to descend from the sky and also to cause the pollination of flowers and plants, I'll leave you now with this verse from the holy Surah Al-Hijr, and then we'll return back, so stay tuned.
وأرسلنا الرياح لواقح فأنزلنا من السماء ماء فأسقيناكموه وما أنتم له بخازنين.
We send the fertilizing winds and cause rain to descend from the sky for you to drink. It is not you who hold its reserves.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. You're watching Qur'an and Science. And love first to know from my brothers what they got from this verse. So I'll start now by Abdurrahman Ismail, the meaning that you're getting from behind this holy verse.
The verse actually explains some of the roles of the wind, like carrying the pollen from flower to flower, which is a process of pollination, as far as I understand. And also the role of the wind to move clouds from a place to a place.
Yes. Okay. Zabihullah?
Yeah, all I get it is that Allah who control everything, Allah who control and send the wind and send the clouds through this wind from place to place where the places that need for rains and send down the water.
It's a beautiful meaning and it's a very precise way of doing things around us.
Yeah,
we should be looking at this and saying Subhanallah.
It's an invitation for meditation and contemplation.
Just by admiring this nature and how it happens, how the process happens. Subhanallah. Okay, moving now to Professor Zaghlol, and the two parts were in this verse. One of them is وَأَرْسَلْنَا الرِّيَاحَ لَوَاقِحَ, and the other was a very important point that we discussed in a previous episode. It's about the rain, and that the human cannot maintain rain or have it in reserves or anything. So we'd like to know from you the scientific notation from this holy verse about how to have this fertilizing winds.
I begin by thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and praising all His messengers and prophets and their sincere followers, and by greeting you all in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, blessings and mercy be with you all. Again, this is a living example for the scientific precision of every notion in the glorious Qur'an. The verse reads, وَأَرْسَلْنَا الرِّيَاحَ لَوَاقِحَ. We have sent the rain as a fertilizing agent. Who sends the wind? We have sent the wind, the winds as fertilizing agents. The verse reads, وَأَرْسَلْنَا الرِّيَاحَ لَوَاقِحَ. Verily, we have sent the winds as a fertilizing agent. Fertilizing to what? And who sends the wind other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? First of all, we have to realize the fact that the variation of the degree of temperature in the atmosphere of the different zones, is one of the ways of allowing wind to travel from one area to the other. Areas with high temperature are described as areas of low pressure, and they are areas of depression, as they call them. Areas with cold wind are considered to be areas of high pressure, areas of activity of the wind, you see. So usually we have wind moving from high pressure areas to low pressure areas. But of course, this process is not that simple, because we get the involvement of the rotation of the Earth around its own axis.
Of course.
You see,
so it makes it complicated.
Complicated matters, you see. We have currents going from down upwardly, not just horizontally. We have wind currents that go from, if the ground is so heated, then you get the air would move upwardly, and then when it cools, it will come down again. So the process is highly complicated. It's not that simple. And we have very many factors that control the process of wind movement. And this is done according to a divine plan that sustains life on the surface of that planet. So we have to believe that the main force behind the movement of wind is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَرْسَلْنَا الرِّيَاحَ لَوَاقِحًا. The very simple impression people got from lawaqih, they thought it's the pollination of flowers.
Yes.
Because the wind can carry some pollens and spores from one plant to the other. And this will help in the fertilization of these flowers and the production of various fruits and various vegetables and various seeds. And which is correct. Nobody can deny this. But only recently we came to discover the fact that this inoculation also happens to the clouds themselves. Yes. The water vapor in the cloud is so thin that it cannot be pulled down by gravity. You have to increase the amount of water vapor around a nucleus. And that's why we have inoculation of the clouds by dust particles, by minute salt particles that are carried from the sea, by some pollens and spores themselves, you see. Along or around these nuclei, water starts to condense until it reaches a certain weight that can pull it down by gravity. And that's why the winds actually play a very, very important role in the process of rain formation and raindrop.
So this was a recent study, how the inoculation happens by the wind to the clouds?
Because the wind usually, as it moves, it rubs the ground surface.
Yes.
And as this rubbing goes on from one area to the other, wind becomes actually charged by minute dust particles, minute pollens and spores, minute flakes of salt, and the like, you see. And by the will of Allah, when these reach the cloud, it becomes the inoculation or the centers of condensation of water vapor to form a larger drops of water that can come down by gravity. So if Allah says that 14 centuries ago, this is a new knowledge